I'm so excited to share my science activity experience with you. Lots of things went well, but I also came across some hurdles. But first, what was my activity? My activity was a small group activity done in free time to follow up on the science lesson my students had the day before on physical versus chemical changes. It was aimed to challenge students that excel in science. The challenge? Design your own chemical change experiment using ingredients given. This was the design that the students came up with. This was the result of the experiment. The best part of this lesson was the engagement and excitement it generated amongst the students whilst also providing a challenge. Students were overwhelmed when first given the task, but after group collaboration and a lot of questions, students were able to come up with a successful design. This method of teaching where students take control of their learning was very similar to the student-centered learning approach. Student-centered learning is a method that can be successful in engaging students in science. Student-centered learning has the child as the instructor rather than the teacher. The purpose of this is to allow students to take ownership of their own motivation and learning and promote independent problem solving. This method of teaching engages students because it puts their interests first. In student-centered classrooms, students are able to choose what they will learn, how they will learn, and furthermore assess their own learning. This is highly engaging for the students and also ensures participation, essential for learning. The lesson also worked well by keeping the group quite small and consisting only of extension students who had a deep interest in science. When the experiment was being conducted, students were very intrigued and curious about whether it would work, and if so, what sort of reaction would occur. These feelings were heightened due to the fact that the students had designed the experiment themselves, and therefore were more invested. The fun nature of reactions and experiments in science also assisted in sparking interest, for many students outside this group came to watch and eventually followed the design and completed the experiment themselves. This provided whole class contribution and collaboration. Practical activities in science are crucial in ensuring learning through participation of all students. This is supported by the constructivist approach, where knowledge is constructed through experiencing the physical environment. The recording of this experiment was also a great aspect of the lesson. Students were able to look back on their recordings and replay certain aspects of the experiment so they could talk about it in their reflection. This reflection is a very important part of the student learning process. As a conclusion to practical activities, consolidating what students have explored is important. With this, teachers and students are able to discuss and link back to the theoretical component of the experiment so that students are able to incorporate this into their knowledge and their everyday lives. Assimilating discussions into their learning and asking questions such as, why do you think that? What does that tell us about? And is that what you expected? Are all questions that assist students in understanding what they have done and how it relates to the theory. Within the classroom, teachers are the most important factor in determining the quality of education children receive and their attainment. By having a thoughtful and planned attitude mixed with creativity and encouragement, students are able to learn effectively in a positive learning environment. The biggest issue I had to overcome was that my class had already completed the topic of my original design and make activity. I came up with a new activity to keep on topic and relate the activity to students' prior knowledge. There is widespread agreement that learning is influenced by prior knowledge, for learners construct new concepts and ideas based on this knowledge. This was difficult, so the design part of the activity was the design of the experiment, and the make part was the students completing the experiment. I would do these things differently to ensure students gained the most knowledge. This lesson was possible due to the support and resources that my supervising teacher and the school gave me. Due to pressure from parents, I was unable to complete my original activity, so I had to stick to the school program. Overall, I am happy with the outcome of my activity and the knowledge my students gained. As difficult as it was to meet the criteria of a design and make activity whilst keeping to the school's conditions, I still feel like I managed to come up with an effective activity.
created using Powtoon.